Good afternoon, distinguished delegates, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, fellow evaluators. It gives me great pleasure this afternoon to welcome you to the 2015 United Nations Evaluation Group high-level event entitled A Bridge to the Future, Evaluation in Service of the 2015 Development Agenda. My name is Deborah Rugg and I'm the chair of the UN Evaluation Group. 2015 promises to be a momentous year for the United Nations as we anticipate the close of the Millennium Development Goals and we welcome the new agenda and vision for the post-2015 era. This is a pivotal year for evaluation as well because evaluation provides knowledge, learning, and evidence to understand what is and isn't working, answering key questions of are we doing the right things, are we doing those things right, and are we doing them on a scale that's actually making a difference. It will provide the evidence that decision makers need in the future to understand when and where we need to make mid-course corrections, and importantly, it provides a role for citizens to be actively involved in the development process and reinforces the ownership that national governments and countries have for planning their own development agenda. Thus, recognizing the role of evaluation, the 2014 General Assembly acknowledged 2015 as the International Year of Evaluation and encouraged the UN system, along with its global evaluation partners, to further strengthen evaluation capacity. So it gives me great pleasure today to introduce to you the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Ban Ki-moon. One of the first things we want to do, he has graciously agreed to join us in the opening ceremony, the lighting of our new Evaluator torch, and then deliver his remarks. So I'd also like to have come to the stage our new incoming UNEG Chair, Mr. Marco Sagoni, invite the Secretary General to welcome, to provide this ceremony of the torch. This evaluation torch is making its way around the globe, already having been in Delhi and Cairo and on its way to Latin America and Africa after this event. It symbolizes the light that we believe evaluation can bring to the world's problems and symbolizes a spirit that we have to do this together to build the better world that we want. So without further ado, I'd like to now turn it over to our Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon.
Thank you for your very kind welcome, and thank you very much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Peter Thomson, Permanent Representative of Fiji to the United Nations, Excellencies, Mr. Darren Walker, President of Ford Foundation, Ms. Nancy MacPherson, Managing Director for Evaluation at Rockefeller Foundation, Mr. Miguel Szekely, Director of the Center for Education and Social Studies in Mexico, Ms. Deborah Rugg, Chair of the United Nations Evaluation Group, Mr. Marco Segon, Incoming Chair of UNEG, distinguished evaluation experts, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again. It's a great pleasure to join you. Having received this torch, it reminds me of my participation in torch running in London Olympic Games and Sochi Winter Olympic Games. It was the second time that I ran. It may look very easy to run 300 meters. It's just 300 meters, but you need to have a lot of practice, not to fall in between. Because a lot of cameras are moving ahead of you. So every torch bearers, they should be very careful because a lot of cameras are just riding before this runner. So I had to prepare several times, at least practice, so that I could run 300 meters without stopping. So that means you need to prepare yourself always. Evaluation group, that's again, we have to prepare for all what we have to do. Evaluate and prepare for our next run. So in that regard, I received a very meaningful torch. This is my third torch. Thank you very much. I thank Ford Foundation for hosting, and I thank all of you for your dedication to the unsung but indispensable function of evaluation. 2 years ago, at a gathering similar to this one, I stressed the importance of strengthening evaluation. Since then, I have been pleased to see that not only the United Nations Evaluation Group, but also member states and evaluators from around the world have risen to the challenge. As a Secretary General, one of my main roles is to continuously improve the United Nations in order to deliver for the people we serve. That means knowing whether you are achieving what we set out to do, and if not, how to do better. Evaluation is thus critical for promoting accountability and for understanding what we are doing right and what we may be getting wrong. As member states shape a new development agenda with a set of sustainable development goals, evaluation will only grow in importance. We have 4 priorities. Rather than priority, we have 4 aspects of our focus as member states are working on this. First of all, we have to agree on a vision. So I expect that member states leaders will come in September and adopt sustainable development goals. Then we need the means of implementation. Then we need the mechanism of monitoring and review. This evaluation falls on third category. This is a very important, essential element. Ladies and gentlemen, before focusing on the historic year ahead, let me mention 3 ways in which our evaluation work appears to be on the right track. The first, starting with the UN Secretariat departments and offices, there is a good news in this year's biannual report on evaluation. Ms. Rock will tell us more. Let me just say that we are seeing fewer red lights and far more green lights on the OIOS scorecard. We have Undersecretary General of OIOS is here. I commend the managers and staff responsible for these gains, which have been made within existing resources. I look forward to the day when we see nothing but green lights. Second, moving on to the wider UN system, 2 independent system-wide pilot evaluations are underway, focusing on operational activities for development and funded voluntarily by member states. I want to express my appreciation to Ireland and Switzerland for supporting this effort. I also thank the Joint Inspection Unit, OCHA, UNICEF, DESA, OIOS, and UNEG, and others for their help in ensuring that the independent system-wide evaluation becomes a reality. Third, and most important, is the country level. Last year, member states adopted the first ever standalone resolution on evaluation that invited the United Nations development system to further strengthen capacity building in this area. Building national evaluation capacities empowers countries to be in the driver's seat from the making of policy to the monitoring of results. This is the best path toward positive change in the lives of people we all serve. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very encouraged by the member states' support for rigorous evaluation. I also welcome the designation of 2015 as the International Year of Evaluation, the same year in which the United Nations marks 70th anniversary and will make momentous decisions about our future prosperity, safety, and well-being. Evaluation everywhere and at every level will play a key role in implementing the new development agenda. Thanks to an internal review by OIOS, as well as external assessment by the Sustainable Development Solution Network, we know that we did not adequately ensure sufficient monitoring and evaluation of the Millennium Development Goals. We must not make the same mistake with the Sustainable Development Goals. This is the importance of this evaluation group. Evaluation is not easy, nor is it popular, but it is essential. The current constrained budgetary climate makes it more important than ever. All of us share a responsibility to strengthen this important function. I look forward to working with all of you to strengthen evaluation capacity so that it can play its rightful role in building lives of dignity for all. I thank today's panelists for their participation. We will hear several perspectives on this vital work from our member states, from my special advisor on the post-2015 development agenda, from the philanthropic world, and from an oversight body. Thank you for all your leadership and support and strong engagement in this important process. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for those insightful and really exciting remarks. I think everyone is very heartened by your words. I wanted to just give a few context-setting remarks myself before we begin the panel this afternoon to highlight some of the issues that we're seeing here in the UN in New York, around the world, and in countries everywhere. First of all, as the resolution has identified, and the UNDP National Evaluation Conferences have also identified, there is a huge demand for evaluation assistance at the field level, and there is a huge demand for evaluation strengthening. But as the Joint Inspection Unit review of evaluation capacity in the UN and the OIOS reviews, which we do every 2 years of evaluation capacity, we see that there still are significant gaps in evaluation and much room for strengthening. Although there are some areas improving slightly, and that's encouraging, especially in areas of developing evaluation policies. And we see that UN capacity gaps are the largest in the field, even in agencies that have large field presence and decentralized evaluation functions. We are seeing the large capacity gaps there. These significant, and there are significant opportunities for improvement. Thus, this is an urgent problem, colleagues, that we must face. Because to have sustainable development, we need genuine ownership. And to have genuine ownership, we need genuine capacity. This is true for all areas, and it's especially true for evaluation. But to build capacity takes time, and as the SDGs approach, we don't have that much time. So we must act now if we really expect to empower nations to be in the driver's seat, to get the data and the evidence they need to make mid-course corrections and achieve the SDGs that are relevant in their country context. So what we will need is more strategic information, more evaluative evidence to identify what is and isn't working, to provide interim information on interim targets, and then to figure out what are the mid-course corrections that we need to make. To be able to answer these questions, we need national evaluation capacity strengthening, but that is not enough. We need national evaluation systems, and that is not enough. We will need the political will to use what the evaluation systems are finding in order to understand what we need to do different and to achieve the world we want and to have the life of dignity for all. Thus, as mandated in this new UN resolution, that the UN system be involved in this, and if we really are going to be able to do this, to provide the support expected at the country level, we are going to need to rapidly strengthen our own evaluation capacity so that we are in a position to provide the supports countries will quickly need. Otherwise, we will be in a position to unfortunately repeat some of the mistakes we did make in the MDGs, and we don't want to do that. The world cannot afford to make those mistakes. We do not want to make those mistakes, so we need the evaluation evidence, and as the Secretary General has said, this is very important for us to start paying attention to now. That makes this week and this session very important. Our deliberations will provide us the guidance that we need to understand the role of evaluation in each of the SDGs, and so I would like to inspire colleagues to think what the words that are basically inspiring me now that sum up all of this is that evaluation is a right. It's not just a right of program managers to understand what they're doing and what is and isn't working, or even stakeholders and donors to understand if their money's being spent accountably. But it's a right of the people to understand if the governments and the programs that they're supporting are actually making a difference in their lives. So to make this a reality, to make this right a reality, we must move quickly, we must move together, and we must move with a spirit that is focused on the front lines and the people we're trying to serve. I thank you for your attention in this opening part. What we'll do now is allow the Secretary General to get on his busy schedule and transition to our panelists who will be speaking on what they think are ways we can actually start moving towards building capacity in different settings. So thank you for that, and thank you, Mr. Secretary.